Hey, I'm your host, TheDoctorDanko, come on in. You've been missing out, so let's begin. Pumpkin_crumb is your host here too. When you hear the beats, you know what to do. Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Hey. Good evening and welcome to Why Did Not You Warn Me?
He's thrown off because I did the countdown.
I'm your host, Matthew, the Dr. Danko.
I'm your countdown initiator, Hillary Crumbs.
Taking on new titles.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's what we do here on Why Did Not You Warn Me?
We do different jobs every time.
Yes, I do.
No,
I work at a massage place now because life is pointless and entropy is unavoidable.
I mean, do you want to get into that?
No.
Okay.
Here we are.
We don't have time to unpack all of that.
Thank you, John Mulaney.
But welcome. This is a new show, new episode. I don't know. I don't know. It's
a
fine.
New season?
No.
Oh.
It's still season 1.
Okay.
But
I dig it.
Yeah, it's a new week, so we have new stuff to talk about.
He did spirit fingers.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
So would you like to go first?
Sure. What have I been reading?
Yes.
I've been on a bit of a Sarah Dessen kick recently, although I did read The 100, which is not by Sarah Dessen. I realized halfway through my Sarah Dessen sentence I should probably address the elephant in the room, which is that I read Kath Morgan's The 100. I can't actually think of any instance where I have thought the movie was better than the book. Although, saying that out loud, I feel like I've said it on this podcast before. I think it happened with a couple of things. Yeah.
I mean, there have been few things that the book and movie or adaptation has been spot on.
Yeah.
Like with Holes.
Holes was perfect.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good Omens, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But The 100, you can skip the book. It was not good. From a storytelling standpoint, from a just plain old writing and speaking the English language standpoint,
From what, I mean, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. However,
the cover is just the CW characters.
Yes, and it's very much one of those books that you walk into a pharmacy or
and it's there by the register.
Convenience store type thing. Yeah, it's by the register. It's like a discounted rack.
It costs less than $10.
Something it's an impulse buy.
It's for the beach.
Yeah.
But I even for the beach, I would suggest any other name by Devin Johnson. If you're looking for a beach read.
Yeah. Nice plug.
Yeah, I try. All of the changes that the CW made to make it into a show were good. They were good
across
changes.
the board. I didn't read the book, but from what you told me,
I told you. I think I told you everything they changed.
Yeah.
And every change they made was for the better.
Yeah.
100%. Narratively to make it a more compelling story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So don't read the book. Just watch the show if you're going to interact with the 100 at all, which you don't have to.
No, you do. Right up until season 5.
Yeah, you can. You can stop at season 5. You can stop before season 5.
You could watch season 4, and then just watch the last episode of season 5, because that way it gives you some closure.
Yeah. You're gonna be you'll be confused about one or two things, but maybe not. Honestly, I don't remember. It's a blur. Sarah Dessen. I have been reading a lot of her books.
Mm-hmm.
She writes young adult. I don't want to call them romance because that means something very specific.
Yeah.
Just young adult lit, coming of age, girls that have difficulty, with confidence or with, and I started reading, because she's written quite a few books, and I read a couple of them when I was younger. I read Dreamland, which was about a girl who was in an abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Someone Like You. I'm trying to see the title from here. I can see the book. I can't read the title. I think it's Someone Like You. Yeah, it's next to Along for the Ride. The green one?
Yeah, it is Someone Like You.
Someone Like You, perfect. My mom and I actually read that one together. It's about, well, that one's difficult to describe. But yeah, they're all like, girls that are struggling with being in high school on the brink of going to college.
Mm-hmm.
They're good coming of age stories. They're kind of sad, but more like bittersweet. So you really, really feel for these characters most of the time. Like, some of her books really, really hit, and some of them really, really don't.
Yeah.
So I read one recently. It's called Just Listen. That I don't know if I talked about on here. I know I talked about to you.
Yeah, you definitely talked about it with me.
Yeah, because that one was really, really good, and that sort of prompted me to go back and read all of her books that I had missed over the years. Oh, am I too quiet?
No, you're fine. I was too loud.
Shocking. No, it is. So I've been going back and reading her stuff because I have the Overdrive app for the Carnegie Library, so I can get them for free on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I had stopped buying her books because I could read them so quickly, and not all of them were good enough to want to buy them, but a lot of them are really good, so. Yeah, Sarah Dessen, she's great. What have you been watching?
Well, I've been watching, and I actually read something. Yeah.
Wow.
Comic book, but
okay.
It counts.
It does. I've also been watching Gilmore Girls, but we don't have to go into that again.
We'll pause on my story real quick. I had some downtime at Go Ape Friday, or it was Sunday. Whatever. They were both slow, but we were talking about, like, because the people I work with are still in school and going through that whole thing. And at just one point I was like, you know what I've always wanted to do? Have you ever seen Gilmore Girls? Luke's Diner? Like, that's something that I think I would really like doing. And we got into that, but...
So the younger generation is still familiar with the classics?
Yeah.
The classics. Do they know Skater Boy? Classic rock.
Classic rock. Anyway. I read Stan Lee's Just Imagine series, and I only read the Batman version of that series, but basically... I think you made me read that a while ago, but I don't remember any of it. I think before we were dating, back when you agreed to read the Bat Files... Drunkenly. Yeah. I drunkenly promised, and then I did it. Yeah. It was awful. Upon reflection, the Bat Files focus very heavily on, like, the New 52 version of Batman. So it's a very limited perspective. We're waiting for a pizza. We don't have time for the geek attack. We do, actually. That's what the whole fucking point of this show is. But anyway, so Stan Lee was asked and probably had some interest in doing a tribute to some very prominent DC characters. Basically your whole Justice League line. Right. Of, like... Just imagine Stan Lee created these characters and what they would look like through the Marvel prism. So I read Batman because that was the only one I have on me. I think it's the only one I own, but I might have the Flash or something, which is cool because the Flash is cool as a character, but his suit is like all white, and when he moves, it's like he's a prism, so he's running through light, and so he leaves behind him a streak of rainbow. It's pretty dope. But I'm imagining like the Dark Side of the Moon logo. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But the version of Batman that Stan Lee creates, and in the beginning of the book, like, what else is he really going to say? It's like, I'm Stan Lee, and I'm doing this version of Batman, but it's not like what could be done better or an improvement. It's just a tribute to the character and everyone that I have worked with and shit like that, which is very sweet. Very Stan Lee. He's a good being. He is. Rest in peace. But the most interesting thing about, obviously the difference between Marvel and DC is vast, but Marvel tends to set their stories in the real world. Mm-hmm. So this takes place in Los Angeles instead of Gotham City, the inner city of Los Angeles. Which is kind of a gross hellscape. Yeah. So. And it tweaks a lot of, like, it uses the same outline, but you have Wayne Williams is the main character, not Bruce Wayne. He likes his alliteration. Yeah, exactly. Wayne Williams, Peter Parker, things like that. And he's a black kid that his dad, I want to say his dad was a cop or something, but his dad is killed by some mob boss in the area. And it's just him and his mom, who's now older and like sort of Aunt May style.
You're going to say Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Fuck.
But so it's just him and his mom, and he looks after her and all this stuff.
Right.
And this mob boss I can't remember the name of him, but he runs the city like a kingpin type.
Sure.
And he's like literally beating somebody up who hasn't paid him like on the streets and like getting away with it. And his mom wants to intervene, but Wayne Williams is just like, no, we just got to keep going. We don't want to get in trouble like with the mob boss basically, and like being quote unquote cowardly. But eventually, he's like a stock boy at the local grocery store. And his boss doesn't like him, but he gave him the job.
From Gilmore
Girls. And he sees the mob boss mistreating somebody, and he's like, you know what? This is not what my dad would want, so I'm going to intervene. And he does, and gets into a scuffle with the mob boss. And the mob boss is pissed off.
Sure.
And so the mob boss decides he's going to get revenge on Wayne Williams for being a dick. And he goes to rob the store, like with 3 guys, all in masks. And he's talking to Wayne Williams like he's their friend. So like, yeah, you told us this was going to be an easy gig. We just got to take the money from the register so that the owner thinks that Wayne Williams is involved in this. Mm. And then they knock the store owner out. They knock the store owner out after shooting him in like the leg or something that he can recover from and still live through. They knock Wayne Williams out and put the gun in his hands, and he gets sent to prison for a crime he didn't commit, which we all know is one of my biggest fears. But it's also like in court they do a little like panel of the court proceedings, and it's like the owner being like, yeah, Wayne Williams brought these guys to my place and they shot me, and of course he did it and all this stuff because he's a black kid living in like the inner city and like works. Stanley
would have the balls to do that.
Exactly. And they made the story just that much more interesting.
Right.
Because when he's in prison, he's a young kid. He's probably Peter Parker age, literally like in his early 20s, something like that. And I'm not sure how long he spends in jail. But he, has to make friends in prison because that's what you do. And he finds this like old guy that's like this retired scientist who is the Alfred counterpart later on. But, he gets picked on in prison or something. And he decides he's just going to start pumping iron. And, like, he just does that the entire time. He, like, can't waste his time in prison.
Okay.
The doctor is set to be released soon, so he's going to be losing his friend. So all he has to do is, like, lift weights and read from the library and just build those skills, which is, like, it's using that Batman storyline, but putting it in, like, real terms. Instead of, like, Bruce Wayne traveling the world to learn all these things. It's like he's stuck in prison. This is literally all he can do for those years. Like he has nothing else to do.
Okay, so he might as well become Batman.
I mean, but that's the other thing is like, so there's this secret organization that like releases all the prisoners or something. And
are they in Ironhide?
No.
Okay.
They release them from the cell. But they're like, well, we're not going to make it past the guard station, so like we have to go find the warden and take him hostage to get us out of here.
Sure.
And Wayne Williams is like, no, we're all criminals. Like, you can't torture this guy just for doing his job. He's the warden. Like, and he starts fighting people off. I think that was your phone, maybe.
I
no.
Oh,
our order is on the way. Shit.
Do we?
We can keep going. I told them to call.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll pause it.
I'm not hungry yet.
Yeah.
You're welcome for the update on our pizza plans.
Yeah. That was fast. So he gets a pardon from the warden because he stopped this crime from happening and all this stuff. And he is just released from prison. He can't really get a job anywhere, but he's staying at this hotel with some of the money that he's made from prison. because one of the jobs he did in prison, I forgot to mention.
Was Chandler there? Yes, he was.
He is sewing. He's like doing all the laundry and sewing for the prison or whatever. But that ties in later when he's at the hotel. He's like, I need a way to make money. And like there are two stories going on. I need a way to make money, and he's watching TV, and he's like sees wrestling, and he's like, in prison, I just fought people all the time. I could do that. And I totally forgot. I'm very not good at words right now.
Should we explain why, or like? Not right now.
Not right now.
We don't know who's listening.
So while he's in prison, I forgot to mention this.
We're just not going to get to Good Omens.
We are. While he's in prison,
Crimes of Grindlewald.
He's staring out of his prison cell, like the window, and there were bats up in the sky.
Of course there are.
That's literally what happens. And he's like, I got nobody to talk to now that this guy...
I'm a man.
No. Okay.
Man.
While that's funny, and I would love to see that on screen.
I'll do it. I'll write it.
He's like, I have nobody in this prison, and he like feeds one of the bats, and the bat becomes like, I know, but the bat becomes like friendly with him, and he like basically has this pet bat while he's in prison that he then takes when he leaves prison.
Sure.
But that's the inspiration. He decides he's going to go to... All right. So he's watching wrestling and decides, all I did in prison was fight people. That would be an easy way to make money.
Get paid for it.
And they had these gimmicks and shit, so I can make a gimmick too.
That man.
There are some reasons why he chooses that, and I'm not going to go through the problem of explaining it, but using his skills at sewing also, he's able to craft this costume that looks like a literal bat. Not like a guy wearing armor, but literally he has the wings and the ears and all that, and the face of a bat, which is pretty dope. And enlists the help of that old scientist that was released to like make him, because he's an inventor also.
Of course.
So he implements things in the suit, things that a bat has, like sonar hearing, and very similar to what we saw in the Christopher Nolan shit. Yeah. But it's a very cool story, and making Batman black is something that we talked about literally a year ago, I think yesterday, because it was in my memories.
Oh, I feel like we've talked about it recently too, though.
We did.
Okay.
But I mean, like the episode,
like
Where in the World is Black Man San Diego or something is the title of the episode. There was a reason why, but it doesn't matter.
Because you wanted to offend as many people as possible?
That's not offensive.
It's not great.
I'm not saying it's great, but it's not offensive.
I mean, okay.
It's not.
Okay.
If it is, let me know and I'll change it.
Okay.
So I read that. And then I watched the movie Waiting.
I've seen that movie.
That's crazy that you've seen that movie.
I saw it on an airplane.
That makes sense.
I think from Vietnam to Thailand. Because it was a quick flight, and I don't know that I was able to see the whole movie, so then I watched it again at some point. Because my brother, unsurprisingly, loves that movie. Yeah,
my brother gave me a poster from the movie because he enjoyed it.
Our brothers would love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think the movie came out in like 2003 or something like that. But it's very much, rewatching the movie, it's very much in that era of like American Pie type comedy.
My favorite part, can I tell you?
You have a favorite part to that movie?
To Waiting?
Waiting, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that the one? It's the Justin Long one, where like at the very end, the kid who's like super quiet the whole time.
He keeps trying to talk, and they keep interrupting before he can say anything.
Like, and you, join the army!
oh, boo-hoo, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Join the fucking army or something, yeah. And then he gets through yelling at everyone, and he's like, and you. And Dane Cook is like standing in the back of the room, and he's like, what the fuck did I do to you? Like, they haven't interacted the whole movie. But he gets everyone to look at him so that he could turn around and put his testicles through his legs.
Right.
So that he could kick everyone in the ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a game that goes throughout the movie. So, like, the movie has problems in terms of PC. We'll say that.
In terms of being sexist, presumably.
Oh, yeah.
Presumably racist.
No.
I don't remember specific incidents.
There's not racism.
Oh.
Well, there might be some stereotypes.
I'm assuming there are stereotypes.
Yeah, maybe.
It's that era.
It is that era.
Which is not an excuse.
It's not an excuse. It's a reason.
It's probably there because that's the era that's in the
And
movie.
Ryan Reynolds' character does have a lot of problems.
Oh, I forgot that he was in that movie.
Yeah, which is why I watched the movie. I was in the mood for a Ryan Reynolds. It was a dual thing.
Okay. When I'm in the mood for Ryan Reynolds, I watch The Proposal.
That's fair.
Because I'm a girl.
You know, side note, at Target today, I almost bought a Detective Pikachu toy because it has Ryan Reynolds' voice in it.
Nice.
And I wanted to use that, but that's beside the point.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't realize you had seen Waiting.
I did.
Yeah.
Just an accident of fate.
Now, do you remember enjoying it or like being at all amused by it?
I think I was, but I was to place this in time in my life. I was 16, and I was living in Vietnam with a family that had 4 boys who were younger than me. So I was basically the oldest brother.
Yeah.
And I was really close with these boys, and they were stupid because they're boys. But
right.
Yeah, so they thought it was funny, so I thought it was funny because...
Influence.
Yeah,
I get
was
it.
a big brother. Like.
Yeah. The movie is funny in places.
It's stupid as shit.
It's very stupid. It's one of those movies that, you know... I go back and forth on stupid comedy. Yeah. Like, sometimes I'm really in the mood for it, and other times I'm just like, what the fuck? This isn't funny at all. And, like, Family Guy is one of those instances where it's just, if it's dumb, it's, like, super dumb.
Right.
But they can do some smart, dumb humor. Like, in a way. Waiting, rewatching it, it is Clerks in a restaurant.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because I was watching it, and I was just like, okay, everyone hates their job. They hate the customers, but they still do it day in and day out.
Yeah. And I thought of that movie a lot when I was working food service.
Yeah. And Justin Long's, like, he's essentially the main character of the movie.
Essentially,
but he's struggling with, like... He's in his 20s,
yeah.
The boss offers him a promotion to become assistant manager, and he's like, or manager or something. And he's like, that's just one more step towards permanence, and I don't want to end up here. Right. And there's like, he has a little dinner with his mom at home while he brought all his laundry or some shit like that. And she's like,
no.
Do you remember Chet or something from high school? They were in like the same honors classes, and Chet is doing really good. He now has his bachelor's degree and all this. And then Chet comes into the restaurant, and he has to be the waiter. Yeah. And Chet leaves him a $100 tip. And he's like, I just thought you could use it more than me. And shit like that. And it's just like, wow, this movie is just, like, depressing on that level.
That movie, what I will never forget from the movie Waiting is, like, I don't remember exactly how they say it, but it's something along the lines of never fuck with the people that are serving you food.
Yeah. Because, there's... I wish you could see it. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, I just wish Hillary was here for this scene. Because they do this thing, so everybody gets split up to who they're serving in the restaurant.
Section.
Yeah.
And they have, like, a tally.
Yeah. So there's this one woman that comes in with, like, 3 friends. And she's, like, the first thing she does when the waitress comes over and is like, welcome to Shenanigans, which is the name of the restaurant and all this shit. What can I get you today? And she's like, you know, the last few times we've been here, it has just been awful. Like, the food has been gross and all this other shit. Which I was like, why the fuck would you keep coming back? But anyway, she's just right off the bat that kind of customer. And every time she brings them something, she's like, this is wrong, or like... blah, 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 or like, they bring the food, and she's like, I'm still eating my salad. It's like, okay, would you like me to take this food back
they
so it can get warm?
Stuff to her food,
so
don't
they vote on it, whether or not she's been a bitch or not for having this done to her food. They drop her steak on the floor and everything.
Isn't there, like, pubic hair
involved? They pull out some pubic hair, some dandruff on it as, like, garlic salt and shit like that, and spit in her mashed potatoes and all this other stuff. And then they give it to her, and then they just watch her eat it, and she's, like, all smug about it, like, getting her way and shit.
Never be a dick to the person who's bringing you food.
I
thought about that, like, when I would make people coffee.
Yeah,
or,
like, I could do anything to this.
Right, I have so much power over you right now, and you're going to be a dick to me?
Yeah. But it is a good movie, like, for a dumb comedy.
Okay.
And it's kind of like... So, Justin Long was also in the movie Accepted.
Which I have also seen.
Yeah. So, in that movie, he's in high school, he doesn't know what he wants to be, but ends up falling into making an entire university.
Right.
This is like the alternate reality where none of that happened. He stayed with his parents in his parents' house, or like got his own apartment eventually, but like is working at the restaurant, not knowing what he wants to do with his life. This is like where those two Justin Longs diverge. Yeah.
The Justin Long cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's just him.
But, you know, the movie does have some funny moments, and I forgot that there are two dishwashers in the movie. One is Andy Milonakis from the MTV show Andy Milonakis, where he would, like, do fucking random shit.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, you would recognize him. But the other kid I forgot he is an actor called Max Cash, which was Zigzag in Holes.
Oh, no way!
It's like his second acting credit or something,
and
probably.
Like last. Because what did any of those kids other than Shia LaBeouf do?
I know Cleo Thomas was in some...
Like an episode of House?
He was in an episode of House, but he was in a dance movie with Jessica Alba.
Aww.
Honey is what it's called.
I mean, he's perpetually like 12 to me, even though he's not anymore. Like, he's 12.
But they have like, they're like gangsters, and they rap in their spare time and get high and just eat the whipped cream and shit. Yeah. But anyway, the movie itself was just funny. Let's just go back to that. But Ryan Reynolds' character is very problematic, unfortunately.
Oh, is he like a sexist pig?
Yes.
I feel like I remember
it's
that.
very much the Ryan Reynolds era of like, I'm the asshole.
Right. He can do that.
Although he does have a tendency to, how do I say this diplomatically? He enjoys the company of barely legal females.
Oh no.
Yeah, but there's like this flirty thing going on with the hostess the whole movie, and she's like turning 18 next week, and he keeps making these comments and things like that, and then when they finally come to the moment, he's like, let's just wait the week, and he doesn't actually go through with it.
Good, 'cause that's still problematic.
Yeah, it's very problematic.
We'll wait till you're illegal. Okay.
I mean,
like, yeah, it could have been worse, but
it's a very weird storyline.
Great, so I'm not gonna go back and rewatch Waiting.
I mean, if I edited it for television, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I watched that, which was fun to just rewatch. And I also rewatched Scream, the TV series, which I could do endlessly. Like, the MTV TV series is actually pretty good. But I won't go down that rabbit hole again.
Because we have some things to discuss.
Yeah.
Do we, just to get it out of the way,
Yeah.
Crimes of Grindlewald, which we have mentioned that we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
We watched a couple of weeks ago. 1, 2, 3.
It's garbage.
Yeah. Great, moving on. Yeah. No, I mean, do we need to get into it?
No, it doesn't do what the first movie did.
The reason we love
it took you further away from...
Yeah, it was Newt.
Yeah.
And
everything you love about the first movie.
It was all over the place. It was retconning the book constantly, which I hate viscerally. Yeah.
That's it.
Don't watch it. It's not worth it. The fact that there are going to be 3 more movies...
Unless they pull like a fucking like Hail Mary where they just change the story entirely. I mean, what else is he...
It's not necessary.
I get that they're shifting the focus from Newt, for some reason, to Albus and Grindelwald's relationship.
Right.
But if they can somehow not do that and switch back to
and
Newt...
keep it the Fantastic Beasts franchise.
Because otherwise the title is irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah.
I would watch 5 movies on Newt tracking down various creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Like, without being like, oh, this is repetitive. I would watch it every single time. I could watch 10 probably, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
So, don't watch it, it's garbage. The big ticket item is that the Good Omens miniseries dropped on Amazon Prime, and we paced ourselves. There's 6 episodes. What are we going to do?
Right.
So we watched 2 a night.
Because you know the Brits.
You know the Brits.
They like 6 episodes of things, and that's it.
And this, from its conception, like, they're not going to... I don't think they're going to make us wait, 10 years and give us 3 more episodes.
No.
This was a book.
They left it... Oh, yeah, I was going to say, so the book is contained within this series of 6 episodes, but they've left some wiggle room for there to be more story.
Yeah, not within the confines of the book, working with some of the characters. And, a 6-episode miniseries was a really good length for this book.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have fit well into a movie, and trying to stretch it for, 22 episodes would have...
I mean, so each episode is about an hour long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you could do it for 22 episodes.
I thought it contained the story really well. There was stuff that got left out, but, I mean, it's an adaptation.
As it does,
you can't put everything in, because not everything that's... So the book is pretty funny. Not everything that's funny reading it is funny watching it.
Yeah.
They were also... They did use voiceover, but they were careful with it. And they defined the narrator in the first episode, that the narrator was the voice of God, which is not defined in the book.
Right.
So then what your narrator is saying suddenly carries different weight.
Yeah.
Which...
It's a very interesting tool.
It was a really cool take.
And they didn't overuse it.
No, they used it, exactly to very good effect.
Yeah.
So... To refresh ourselves, I've read the book more times than I can count. I have most of it memorized, TBH. One of my favorite books. I love it so much. It's like a warm, fuzzy blanket. It is a great book. And you...
I listened to the audiobook on one of our trips somewhere.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out where.
But it's a delightful... I'm a big fan of British things in general.
It's very British.
It's super British.
Yeah.
And despite the lack of enjoyment I had with the audiobook being read by one guy who didn't... Look, audiobooks are literally just reading the book, but the guy that read it, I don't know who it was, just didn't...
He wasn't great.
He didn't, vary up the voices too much, didn't get into it like the David Tennant audiobooks I've read or listened to, or the Jim Dale.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody touches Jim Dale, but
right.
Some audiobooks put effort into your different characters or different things.
Or the Golden Compass book.
Yeah.
A full cast.
Yeah, full cast. I mean, even that I'm not expecting, but...
You're right, but a little bit of... Yeah, I mean, Jim Dale gave different voices.
Yeah.
And this guy, the guy that read Good Omens, I think he tried.
I think he tried.
But,
and I don't want to shit on the guy for
British
it, but
man, I'll shit on him. Trying to narrate children or...
It made it hard to latch on to certain characters because I was hearing that guy's voice versus a character's voice.
Right. So, as a whole, thoughts on the miniseries?
I loved it. I mean...
David Tennant was in it.
David Tennant was... So, the story... real quick summary.
I can cap this.
Yeah, please
quicker than you can, probably.
I know.
Armageddon.
That's what I was going to say, but
okay.
Fine.
Well, and then... So, the book... it starts in the Garden of Eden with this angel named Aziraphale and this demon who at the time is going by Crawley, but then decides he's Crowley later. And so it's Crowley and Aziraphale. Humans get expelled from the garden because of the apple thing. Fast forward multiple thousands of years, depending on your take, and Crowley is handed a bundle with a baby in it that turns out to be the Antichrist. and it's the story of them attempting to influence the Antichrist as he grows, but also the end of the world that the Antichrist is to bring about.
Mm-hmm. And, Aziraphale is a good angel,
right?
And Crowley is a demon,
a fallen angel. Demon. Yeah. You said a good angel.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I get it. And they're working for their
like
respective
the field
sides.
Agents on Earth.
Yeah, for heaven and hell, but they are friends, and kind of they don't 100% always agree with the sides that they're supposedly working for.
Yeah, it's described in the book, because I can quote the book.
Of course.
As it's like field agents who have discovered, like through, years of being in the field, that they have more in common with their supposed counterpart than with the force they're representing back home. Like,
that's fair. Yeah.
They discover, like, throughout their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Like, I can talk to Crowley more than I can talk to, Gabriel.
Right. Exactly. So, this series focuses on those two characters, like their relationship and how they deal with,
the end of days.
The end of days.
And the book is sort of more of an ensemble approach. Like, it's sort of, it was hard for, I think you latched on to Crowley and Aziraphale as the main characters pretty immediately, but yeah. I had trouble, like, defining who I thought was, which story I thought was the central one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the miniseries made a definitive choice that Crowley and Aziraphale were going to be their story, their through line, which worked really well cinematically because David Tennant and Michael Sheen worked fantastically together. They were so talented, and they embodied the characters just in every way. It was so much fun to watch.
Just from the way that they sit down,
how
to the way they
move,
stand, or little things like that. And I mean, I am a huge David Tennant fan, obviously, for Doctor Who.
Right.
But the dude is just a great actor.
He's really, really good.
And giving him the part of, like, the demon is just a genius choice. Because, he plays good guys, but when he plays a bad guy, he really plays that bad guy.
And the Crowley is not, like, a bad guy.
I should say. He's just, he's a demon.
Right,
but
he's not icky. He's he's not an angel.
Yeah, exactly. And he chews up the scenery, like, in a great way.
He's so much fun. And the two of them, like, watching the contrasts in their physicality and in, like, the way they delivered their lines. Oh my god, it was so fun.
Yeah.
Like, and we said multiple times, like, it felt theatrical, it felt literary, it felt cinematic. Like, I don't know that I've ever watched anything quite like it.
Yeah, and I can't recall either.
It's a bigger deal for you because I've only seen like 7 things.
I mean, well, that's the thing is, like, with adaptations,
I've seen a lot of adaptations.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where, they try to have it both ways, being aware of the fact that this is an adaptation, movie, TV show, what have you. So we have to make it original, but also being true to the source material, and sometimes those two things can conflict one another.
Yeah.
Or they pull too far in either direction, and it doesn't feel like either of them in a weird way.
And this found, like, a really beautiful way to still feel like a book while also being fun to watch.
Yeah.
And, like, I thought technically very well put together and performed.
Visually, like,
the staging of it was
it's a beautiful
gorgeous.
Show from every aspect of it, from, compositions of shots and just, like, even as far as, like, the color correction of things, making things brighter where they needed to be, because you're playing with this world of, like, demons and angels, so
so they're more extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
Than in day-to-day life.
And then you have David Tennant and Michael Sheen being the perfect choices for those characters.
Yeah. To hold this series.
To keep it going.
Yeah. To pull us through.
So for you, when you were reading the book, you latched on to the children of the story.
I really loved the kids.
The Antichrist, name of Adam.
Adam Young.
Adam Young and his friends.
Yeah, referred to as the them.
Yeah. So for you in the book, those were who you latched onto. But in the show, they focus way more on Aziraphale and Crowley.
They did our focusing for us.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, we can get into it. We're talking about all the things that it did great.
Yeah.
Like, I loved 93% of the show.
Right.
I loved the choice that they made for a through line because they picked their strongest characters and used them to tell the story, which made a lot of sense narratively and visually. And also,
and I don't think, if they had chosen to focus on the children in a way, using the kids that they had, it probably wouldn't have resonated the same.
Yeah,
with me at least.
The kids were not great.
Yeah, they weren't vastly terrible, but they were just average kids.
Yeah, like, and we go back and forth on this because, like, they're child actors. But on the other hand, there are children that are good actors, and 11 is not a baby. Like,
no.
But Adam, we were talking about this. It's a very tough part to play because, I mean, the character is so central thematically to the book without necessarily being the main character. Because I don't think the book spends more time with the kids than it does with Aziraphale and Crowley. I think it's pretty equal.
Yeah.
And also with, like, all of the other bits of things that they're pulling in, like, because all of these things are sort of being, like, funneled together almost to get spit out in, like, the final Armageddon scene. Because, like, they're pulling in, they have Aziraphale and Crowley, they have the kids, they have the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and then, like, they're interspersing it with, like, Agnes Nutter and her past and her prophecies and the other things that are happening in the world that are indicating that the end of days is near. Like, it's all being pulled together in a very definite direction that is sort of, that Adam Young, as the Antichrist, is sort of the center of. It's all sort of swirling around him, and he has no idea. Yeah. Because the other kind of important thing is that Aziraphale and Crowley lose the baby. He's supposed to get, like, switched off with an American diplomat's child and then get raised in that household, but through crazy random circumstances.
British happenstance.
Right. Thank you. They end up swapping to human babies, and the Antichrist goes off with another family, and nobody figures it out for 11 years. Yeah. So Adam Young gets to be raised human. So he has no angelic or demonic influences. He is raised as a human child, which is so important. Yeah. Like, thematically, the idea that the book is pushing is that, the line is something like, it's important to know, like, for all the events of human history, it doesn't have anything to do with humans being fundamentally good or fundamentally bad, but humans being fundamentally human. Yeah. Which is the punchline to the book. That, like, we get to this apocalyptic event, and this 11-year-old who sort of figures out, like, you know, he eventually comes into his power as the Antichrist, and then realizes that he doesn't actually want to destroy the world because he likes the world. Yeah. So he's like, we're not going to do this. Yeah. And he just, because he's human. Yeah. And that's not a very cinematic ending, to not have, like, a big battle, like, not have everything come to a head in a really visual, dramatic way. Because Adam, as the Antichrist, is so powerful, he's able to just sort of shift reality so that heaven and hell are not about to go to war. Yeah. And Satan doesn't come bubbling up from the ground. Right. And that's not visually interesting, which I get, but it's one of my favorite endings to a book, because there are all these, like, huge, bubbling, emotional things like happening while nothing happens. So you feel all these huge, important things related to this idea of just humanness. Yeah. That it's not about good and evil. That basically Aziraphale and Crowley were irrelevant the whole time, because humans are going to be human. Which is why I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't spend more time with the kids, and that the kids that they got were not the best actors. And I don't know. Because they were focused on Aziraphale and Crowley, they ended it. They sort of extended the ending past Armageddon, which makes sense because the end of the book, Crowley and Aziraphale don't really get an ending. They're just like, oh, I guess we're not going to war. But narratively, for what the miniseries was doing, they had to give them an ending.
Right.
Like, so they made a choice and they committed to it and they did it very well. But I read the book a little differently.
Yeah.
And that sucked a little bit, just a little bit, because the series was very, very well done, and I really liked most of it. The other problem, sorry, I will let you talk.
No, you talk.
The book was co-written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Pratchett has since died, so Neil Gaiman was the writer and the showrunner on Good Omens. And in everything that I have read about the process of writing Good Omens, Terry mostly wrote the kids.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that if Neil was the one running things, there wasn't really that voice for...
Because that's also the other thing, is like when you create something with someone else, you want to, have it be pretty even all the way through.
Yeah.
But if they pass, you want to still honor them as much as you can.
While still, being your person.
Right, exactly.
You can't be inside their brain.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And I think just based on what I know of Neil Gaiman as a person, that was probably it. He didn't want to overstep and try to do what Terry Pratchett would have wanted, because, even if if you're friends and you know each other inside and out, there is something about respecting their work and and I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah, I'm sure I can't.
Because Neil Gaiman's a great person, by all accounts. You may just go on his Twitter page,
Tumblr. He answers so many fan questions, fans that are being total dicks. He's so nice and just a chill guy.
Yeah.
His wife is a crazy feminist. It's cool.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. Read Good Omens.
You should read the book.
Read Good Omens.
I wish I could read it. I mean, I can read it. I know how to read, but it takes me a while to get through things. But the Britishness of the book and just Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's style of writing,
lovely.
It's very good.
Because I can't read most of Neil Gaiman's stuff because it's too scary and I'm a chicken. But I didn't really like Terry Pratchett because his stuff was too floaty, airy, off in space. And Neil Gaiman was deep and dark and scary, but the two of them meet in the middle just really beautifully. They balance each other out. It's one of the best co-written books that I've ever read.
I wonder if there's a graphic novel
I think there
or something.
is.
That'd be interesting.
I know there are a lot of new editions of the book now that the miniseries is out.
Yeah. But you should definitely watch it. Yeah. You should read the book if you can.
And then watch it. Because there's a lot of stuff that didn't make it into the miniseries that was also really good. I'm going to spoil something. They play a lot of Queen in the miniseries, and they never tell you why Crowley is always listening to Queen. But there's a really funny, just throwaway line in the book about how, Crowley jammed a cassette into the player and it started playing Bohemian Rhapsody because, any cassette that had been in the car longer than 2 weeks automatically turned into a best of Queen. What the fuck? It's so funny.
It is funny.
Yeah. I love that book so much. And I didn't really remember how much I love that book until I was trying to explain why the kids really bugged me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily the kids aren't a huge focus of the show.
Yeah.
So
but read the book and then you can love the kids
obviously make up your own fucking mind.
Exactly. The show is still very lovable.
Yeah, and David Tennant's awesome.
He's fantastic. Michael Sheen is adorable.
He is. I am partial to David Tennant, so I tend to throw him more accolades.
We're probably going to be Crowley and Aziraphale for Halloween.
I think it's
a
fantastic couple's costume.
I think it's great. The world's first homosexuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, I think.
I think that's a very good episode length, and I am hungry.
Sort of.
I hope the fries are good.
I know.
Now that we've had them sitting. Yeah.
They're extra juicy.
Great.
Okay, bye.
So thanks for listening. I'm your host, Matthew, TheDoctorDanko.
And I'm your countdown aficionado, Hillary Crumbs, saying goodbye in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Once the show ends, please don't shed those tears. We'll come back again, so have no fear. Oh, we told you that it just might end up this way. What's the show called again? You cannot be saying, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me